In this video, I'd like to discuss the textiles table-based pricing. If we're looking at control, inside of an estimate, looking at the textiles product, we've filled in the textiles that are going to be entered into the order, and then we've come to quote type. Most of the predominant quote types all have the table-based option. If we're looking at screen print, quick quote, or embroidery, the print type is what is controlling the table values. So if I'm saying, such as an embroidery, that it's a standard custom image and it's table-based, it's going to look at tables separately for the standard custom image than it will for stock images or text, depending on how you've set up the system. Let's look at that. If we go to Setup up at the top, and then Pricing Setup, and then All Pricing Setup, down the left-hand side, one of the options will be Lookup Tables. This is where you set all of the specific pricing tables up that you want to use. And then we'll go in and link them to the specific products or part types that we'll be using them with. If we look at the screen print price tables, there's a t-shirt price table 1 through 4, and these are the defaults, and an outsource. Let's first look at the table. Now table 1 through 4 at this point is saying whether it's a first location, second location, third location, or fourth location. Based off the locations, we have the colors. How many colors for location 1, and the table quantity. At this point, if I needed to change or edit these values, I can do that by Edit Table, and it will bring up the table grid. I'm going to edit this first. My apologies. Then I'll Edit Table. Once the grid is pulled up, at this point what it's looking at is the numbers between 1 and 6. You'll see I have it set to attempt to return to the previous value. So if it falls between these numbers, it's going to fall backwards to the number before it. Well, what I wanted to say is these tables start at 6, so I'm not giving any pricing between 0 and 6. And then from 6 to 12, for one color, the table is set at $16. If I need to just change the prices here, I can just go in and type over the prices to what you need them to be. If you need to add rows, such as I have a separate row, I have 1 through 6, 6 through 12, but I needed to either add, edit, or modify these rows, you can do that on the right-hand side. You can either edit the columns, add a row. So let's do that at this point. If I go in and add a row, it's going to look for the row 1 value. So if I say 7 here, you'll notice that's saying as if there was a 7th color. If I wanted to add a column, such as in this direction, say I needed to add a column for quantity of 18, I would add a column, enter my 18, and you'll see that it added that column. And then I can fill in the price values that I would like for quantity of 18 based on the colors. Remove a column by deleting it, and you can modify one in case this wasn't as a dozen. I could go in and say, no, I want to change that value to 15. Then if it's a second location, what is the tables for those? Now, if I'm just saying that the second location is a percentage of the first location, you can just set these tables up once, cloning them, making it easier so you don't have to re-enter all the values, and then use a percentage change for the second location, third location, and fourth location. I'll get into discussing that a little bit further in this video. Next thing I want to look at is embroidery. So we're going to look at the embroidery tables as well. I only have one standard table, so I have a 1 through 6, 6 through 12 as far as quantity and a price. Now these tables are set up to a maximum stitch count, but that's not defined here. We will show you where that's defined in the future. Now at this point, this may be a standard table, but I may have a separate embroidery table for baseball hats or caps. Well, I could clone this one, embroidery hat table, and then go in and tell it what prices you have for the different quantity breaks for hats. It is possible, currently these tables are set up on the most common table structure, such as the number of colors and quantity. If there were other factors that you needed to put into this table, other than the ones I'll be showing you soon, please refer to a serious implementation department or an implementer, and they will gladly help you set these tables to exactly what your needs are. All right, now let's look at assigning these tables to a specific product and part. If we're in the Adjust Part Information screen, if you remember, you can go to Setup, Pricing Setup, Adjust Part Information Setup. Here it's listing by product everything under textiles. Under quote types, you'll see screen print, quick quote. Well, one of them is the screen printing types, as in you'll see under embroidery and embroidery types, table-based pricing. Well, these are all the values that go along with the setup of embroidery or screen printing, depending what you're looking at. As you scroll through these values, you'll see one of the columns is the table. Here it's listing what table based off of the lookup table name, and here we have embroidery standard table. So therefore here it's listed as embroidery standard table. Also, when it's looking at that table, it does have a little further information it needs, such as what is the max stitches for that table. At this point we've assigned it to 10,000 stitches is what the table goes up to. And then after that 10,000, we're going to add a 10% for every 1,000 stitches. If we look at the screen print, table-based pricing, here you'll see again the table 1. And we're looking at table 1 with 100%. Then we're looking at table 2, and this again would be for a second location, third location, and it is defining looking at each of those tables as 100% value. Well, depending on how your pricing structure is set up, the second location could be a percentage of the first. So if this price table was set to the same values as the first price table, then I may go in and say, no, second location is only 80% of this table instead of 100% of that table. And same with the third location and fourth location. You'll also notice each of the other products in the system have their own table-based pricing structure. And again, it is looking at its table and how it's defined either on a percentage. This one's set similar to the screen printing product. This concludes our video on setting up price tables within Control. If you have any further questions or would like to get into more detail, please review our other videos or contact the Series Implementation Department. Thank you.